How's everybody doing today? I'm Froese.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Caleb.
And we're two beards in a board game and this guy. Today we're going to go over 5 Minute Dungeon, which is a deceptive name to say the least, in my opinion, I guess.
It is true. I mean, technically you would have 25-minute dungeon,
Yes,
but each dungeon you run through, you have a max of 5 minutes to get through.
Yep, it is a game for 2 to 5 players, 8+, and who makes this game?
It is
Spin
Master.
Master. Don't they make toys?
No idea. I've never heard of it. So the gist of this game is you have a deck of cards for your player. You have 5 different players to choose from, with 2 different types of players to choose from that specific tile. And the goal of the game is to kill the monsters that lead you up to the main the dungeon boss. And you have to work your way through 5 dungeons, and you play cards by working as a team to kill your monsters. There's like swords and shields and scrolls and whatnot. So you work as a team to get the right combination of cards to either destroy a monster, a person, obstacle, or a mini boss.
Yeah. Overall, this game is very chaotic. There's no turns, which is interesting because you'll end up flipping a card over, and there'll be symbols on it, much like these, if you can see them. And everybody's got to you've got to match all the symbols essentially, right? You're just matching.
Right.
Yeah. I found it really interesting because everybody's deck has different ratios of all the symbols. So there's things that other people are going to have that you won't have very often.
Right.
Like the ranger has a lot of arrows, whereas the wizard has very few. So you
right.
always have to work together in that sense.
Right, and so you're all playing at the same time. You've all got a hand if you're playing with 5 people. You've all got 3 cards that you're looking at, and you've got to match the symbols. And so if something comes up with 2 swords and an arrow, you kind of just got to look at your hand and somebody shouts out, "Oh, I've got the swords," and throws them on the table.
Right, yeah, so it can be, there's a lot of yelling over top of each other, which can in turn be prohibitive because you have a certain amount of time to try to get through the deck and work your way to the dungeon boss.
Yes, you have 5 minutes. That's obviously where the name of the game comes from. There is a kind of cool companion app for this. It's literally just a timer with essential flavor text. It's got my favorite guy from the Honest Trailers. He does a voiceover in it, and he's my favorite. But there's a couple of different voices you can choose from. I always like it when games have apps, little extra thing.
Right. It has more personability to the game itself.
Right. So the difficulty in this game we have found is very skewed. Right.
Yeah, the game doesn't scale very well.
It does not. No. If you're playing, let's see, Caleb. My wife and I played this for about 2.5 hours, and we could not beat the final boss. Like, there was hands down no way we could do it. Right? We added my daughter in, and all she did literally, I think, was use her power. Each character has a power they can use, and we annihilate it with like 45 seconds to a minute left.
Yeah, it was super easy. We also played with 4 people and then with all 5, and when we did our playthrough with all 5, I think we went straight through.
We did
every boss on the first attempt
no
every
problem
time with no real
issues
at all.
It was very, very easy. So it seems like if you're at 3 people, it's too challenging.
Right. I've played with my son, and when you have 2 players, you get 2 decks into one because you're just going to run out of cards to try to get through the deck. So you have a huge pile of cards, but you still only have 2 abilities to use, and that's what makes the game much easier, because if it's chaotic and you're, say the wizard, you can discard your hand and say, all right, stop the game, and you stop the timer, and you can plan out your turn, and okay, I've got this, I'm going to play this card, we're going to get these cards, and you kind of set yourself back up to get back on track. Whereas 2-player, if you run into a combination where you can't draw any more cards and you can't fill what the card is, you just lose, and that's the end of it.
Right.
So with 2 players, you each have 5 cards, but if you have a junk hand that can't help get past the card, we got 4 cards into it, and we're just like, all right, we can't do anything, and neither one of us had an ability to where you can, discard cards to have someone force them to draw cards to try to draw out of what card you are, and we were just stuck, and like 20 seconds into the game, we were done.
Yeah, so. I mean, even at 3 players, when we played 3 players, there were times that we just got stuck, and there was literally nothing you could do. Game ends, and the way this game is supposed to be played is, if let's say you make it to the 5th boss, and you lose, you're supposed to start over from the first boss.
I like that challenge aspect of it. It's just not, we can run through and, just like, potentially like a video game that they have run through, you get to the end boss. Well, I'm not going to just start at him again. I'm going to potentially go back to the beginning of that level. So if you think of this as a level that you're going through 5 different rooms, or like, Mega Man, for instance, you're going back to the beginning of the level if you die. So, like, I do like that aspect of it, and otherwise you can just sit there and just ram your way through the game until you beat it, but this gives you kind of a finite end to what you can potentially do.
So one thing I did really like about the game is that everybody has their power, and it was something that was really cool when you started playing with 4 and 5 people, because there are 3 main types of cards, and there are 3 people that have an ability where they effectively discard their hand just to beat that power. So you ran into a lot fewer situations where you couldn't beat something just because you didn't have cards in your hand. And that was really interesting, because the game was a lot more fun when you lost due to time, because it was, next time you go faster, and it was just better. Whereas when you got stuck in the game and you just lost out of not having cards or even running out of your deck, it was just kind of boring. It was like, we're back to square one.
Right. I will say that I'm a sucker for a good box. I'll put a shot of the inside of this box up for you guys. It's got a nice tray system in there.
Yeah.
All of the individual, everybody has their own individually deck, and then there's the the boss, the monster deck, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it packs in the box really well.
It's a good box. I love
all the decks are separated. All the boards have their own little spots to go, and the instructions to sit right on top, and it's just nice and easy. The one thing I have a complaint about this game is the boards that it comes with, definitely they curve. So either there's space here so it doesn't sit very well, or it's curved up. I mean, it's not bad per se or takes away from the game. It's just kind of
just
annoying.
One of those things. The bosses do that too a little bit. They don't sit complete. Well, okay, that one made a liar out of me. But there's a couple in there that don't sit completely flat. Yeah. All right, let's rate this game, gentlemen. What are you thinking, Charlie?
It's a very fun game. There's not a lot of replay value in it, I don't think, so I'm going to rate it as a manly beard.
Yeah, I could say the same. It's really fun, and when you get going, it's super fast and really engaging, but I would go manly too, because there are some pretty big issues with difficulty scaling.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go straight across the board with manly on it. Like, again, I reiterate what they just said. It's fun. It's a fun game, but now we've beaten it all. 5 of us played it last night, and I just don't see us maybe not picking it up again. I would say that if you're going to play it, your sweet spot is probably 4 people. 5 makes it too easy. 3 if you really want a challenge.
Right. But 2 is basically impossible.
2 is basically impossible.
When I played with my son, we got past the 2nd dungeon just barely and didn't even come close on the 3rd. And we, like you guys, we kind of gave it a go at that 3rd dungeon a couple of times, and we just gave up at that point.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you watching the video. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. If there are any games that you want us to review, go ahead and leave those in the comments, and we'll see what we can do about that.
Yep, sounds good.